What we want to do in this video is describe to you how a group of congregations like your own who are going to be using the five-step process are going to work together to form a learning community around joining God in the neighborhood. And I want to just describe that to you, or diagram it for you, so you get a good picture that you as a congregation are going to be participating with other congregations across the country. What we're going to do is we're going to work with 5 regions from coast to coast. So we might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regions. And in each of these regions, there are going to be 3 to 5 congregations. So each of the 5 participating regions will be selecting congregations like yours, so that in them there will be 3 to 5 congregations in the region going on the journey together. And each congregation in each of the regions will follow the 5-step process. So you're all going on the same journey. That will really help us to ask, what are we learning together? As we take these same steps, and as we pause at the end of each of the 5 steps, we can ask each other, what have we done and what have we learned? And that begins to provide a rich experience for us across these 5 regions in discovering and discerning how we might empower and partner together as regions and congregations with ABC USA in joining God in the local. In order to make this as effective as we possibly can, what we have done is trained a group of coaches. And so, in each of the 5 regions, there are going to be several coaches, probably 2 coaches, maybe 3, in each of these regions. And these coaches are assigned to you and your congregation and are going to work with you and your congregation, so that at no time will you ever feel like you are trying something on your own and you don't know quite what to do. And the coaches are selected from each region, and so they will be known in the region and they will be related with the congregations of the region, and they're there to support and help and work with you as a congregation as you walk through each of these 5 steps. So, coaches assigned to you. Then we are creating what we call regional teams, and we can identify these with the term RT. So each region will select a team. Now that team will be a small number of people, 2 or 3, no more. Their work is to watch, to listen, and to observe the 5-step process as it is being worked out in each of the congregations in their region. And they are going to watch and observe what is happening in the 5 steps in order to ask this question: what are we learning from the point of view of the region about how to be a region that assists and resources and partners with its congregations in joining God in the neighborhood? What kind of region are we going to need to become? What might we need to change? What journeys might we need to go on as a region in order to effectively assist and help our congregations? So there will be a regional team doing that work. And then thirdly, there are going to be in each region a pastor group. And what that means is that each congregation in each region that is participating in Transformed by the Spirit, the pastors from those congregations will also meet together. And when they meet together, they will be asking such questions as, what is the 5-step process about? What's happening in the congregation as they move through these processes? And, most importantly, what are we observing and learning about the kind of leadership role that we need to take to best support and partner and resource the people of our congregation in this journey in joining God in the neighborhood? So, we have congregations, we have regional teams, and we have pastor groups in each of the 5 regions. And then over all of that process, we have ABC USA. And ABC USA has really been providing the funding to resource this project. And ABC USA then has, first of all, a part-time coach who's going to work with all the coaches. So the coaches are in conversation with a primary coach. Secondly, we are also going to have a liaison person to the congregations. And so we're going to have someone who is going to be in touch with you in the congregations just to check in. What's happening? What are you learning? How are things going? Just to make sure that we are supporting you to the extent that we possibly can on this journey. There will also be, similarly, a liaison person doing exactly the same thing with the pastors. Checking in with them, seeing what they're doing, seeing how they're learning, so that again, we as ABC USA are doing everything we can to learn ourselves how, as a denomination, we can support regions and congregations in this journey. And then finally, we're also going to have someone who liaisons with your regional execs. And so, all through this journey, there's going to be a liaison who is in communication with each of the regional execs in each of the 5 regions, updating them on what's happening in the congregations and with the clergy, listening to their questions, informing them, and helping them deepen their understanding of regional execs of the kind of learning that they need to be a part of. And all of this is provided by ABC USA, and overarching that is what we have called a journey team. And the journey team is comprised of people, pastors and lay from across ABC North America, who are working with ABC USA to ensure that we are learning on this journey about how to be transformed by the Spirit by joining God in our local contexts. So that's the big picture. Now, what we're also going to do is we are going to bring you as congregations into communication with other congregations using all kinds of video conferencing, phone calls. We're going to take congregations involved in each of the regions in Transformed by the Spirit and put them in touch with congregations in other regions. And so, we may have a congregation in a region, and we're going to bring them into conversation with some congregations in some other regions, so that what we are doing is beginning to create a genuine learning community. So you are learning from one another. You're sharing what you're doing with one another, your stories, your discoveries. And that's going to take place in a pretty regular way. so that across the country, this learning community is going to begin to emerge. And we're going to do exactly the same thing with pastors. We're going to bring them across the country through video conferencing into conversation with one another. What are you discovering as a pastor in your location about this journey? What does this say about the skills, capacities we need as pastors to support our churches? This learning community at every level. And similarly, we're going to take executives and we're going to take regional teams and bring them into the same kind of conversation together with one another. And so what we have designed is a particular process for each of your congregations, the 5-step process. We have designed it so that there are 5 regions involved in this initial learning experiment together, in which there are 3 to 5 congregations in each region. And we are providing support mechanisms, coaches in the region for the congregations. A congregation liaison person who's constantly in conversation with the congregations and checking in how things are going. A pastor liaison person doing the same thing with clergy. An executive liaison person who's doing exactly the same thing with your regional execs. And all of that learning is being brought together to the journey team, who are continually asking the question from the perspective of ABC USA, what are we learning, what are we discovering, what are we discerning? That's the journey. We're glad to have you on it, and we hope that you find this to be one way in which the Spirit is seeking to transform you as you're invited into your neighborhoods and communities to discern what God is doing. Thank you, and God's peace.